Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to today. Today, we are really having a treat for you because today we have a special visitor, and he has so many titles. I'm going to try and tell you some of them. He graduated from Texas Tech University with a PhD in marriage and family and therapy. He is a registered play therapist and a master of social work. He is a personal success, performance enhancement, and relationship coach, and a certified habit finder coach from the Mandino Leadership Institute. He is also an author. He has actually written a book, and his book is called Peace, Be Still. He's a very, very, very dear family man. He loves people. He loves children. He just loves everybody. And we just love hearing from him. So very warm welcome to Dr. Gary Haslam.
Oh, thank you, Vicky. That is so touching. Thank you. This is such a great group and such a wonderful pleasure to talk to all of you. So that is so cool. Yeah, so let me get rolling here and get to the head slide. I was working on it till early hours trying to get things going. I didn't quite get everything finished on my presentation that I wanted to, but I think it'll be pretty good what I got together here. So it should be fun discussion. So one of the things is, I've been on an entrepreneurial journey now for about ten years, but I didn't always start out that way. And so we're going to talk about some really essential things to help you become successful at your big goals and dreams. I imagine a lot of you are like me and Gary. We're all big dreamers, right? We have big plans. We have big goals for our life. And, in my work and what I've learned, there's just some pitfalls that we need to understand and we need to recognize in ourselves. And so I've been in the mental health field for 30 years, been coaching the success field for 10 years, and really, even the last several years have just really learned and grown. And I want to share with you some really essential things that I've learned that have they're really helpful, they're really important, and also share with you something that I talked about last week that I'm doing to really help people kind of get dialed in before the end of the year to help you be successful in your ventures, whatever they may be. So let me do screen share here, and we'll jump in on this. So it's kind of a mouthful. When Iris was asking me, what's the presentation? I kind of what the title was. I kind of come up with big mouthful titles. So I entitled it "Moving Beyond Mindset: the blind spots that block your success as an entrepreneur and big life creator." One of the things that gets me really excited is being around people who are in creation. People have big goals, like I said, and people who are striving towards that and helping people achieve those because I think all of us have dreams in our heart. But there's a difference between being a dreamer and a dream creator. And so many times we have dreams that don't ever get created in real life. And I think that's a shame. I think all of us have big goals and dreams that deserve to be created and executed and manifested and all that sort of good stuff. So that's kind of the space that we're in here. Okay, so there's a few of my titles. I love how you said that, Vicky. I don't know, I don't try to tack on the titles to seem important. It just describes different things I've done. But titles are kind of an interesting thing when you think about it, how it defines us. So I'm just a regular guy, though, despite all of them, just Darryl, and that's who I am. So we're going to talk about a story about a brave adventurer that we can talk about that connects to our creation journey. I'm going to have you do a little reflection on your own creation journey, kind of where you're at, what is going on for you in that. We're going to talk about mindset. And one of the things I kind of is one of those things like, what? Mindset is not always enough. We talk about mindset a lot, and mindset is really super important. But mindset isn't the end all. There's more to it than that. And so we're going to talk about what else is there? What is the thing that is needed beyond mindset? That's why I mentioned that title. And so we're going to talk about what that is. And Gary will probably get excited about this. We're going to talk a little bit about some brain science stuff. So anytime the word science enters the presentation, Gary perks up. So we're going to talk about that, and then I'm going to just share with you an opportunity for you to get dialed in and get really a great opportunity to really end 2024 in a very powerful way with lots of confidence, momentum, moving to the new year with just really great things going. So we're going to talk about what that's about, what that is. So one thing I talk about is this. How many are familiar with Trudy Edderly? Um, I don't know if you know there's a movie that's on Disney Plus right now, and I have mixed feelings about Disney, but it's a really good movie if you can get a hold of it. And I think it was in the box office, but I'm not sure if it is anymore. But she's actually the first woman who swam the English Channel, and that was back in August 1926. And if you don't know the history back then when she started learning how to swim, which is the early 1900s, back then in the United States, women weren't even allowed to be taught how to swim. This for men, women shouldn't swim. That's just not ladylike. It's just not the you do. Then they started teaching women how to swim, but they taught them doggy paddle. That's all they'd teach them so they could do survival swimming, but they really weren't swimmers. But Trudy was one of these early ones that got into a swim team. It was kind of in some basement and learned how to swim and started racing and competing. And she actually went to the Olympics, forget which year it was, early, probably 1920s, and got a bronze medal or two. First time that women competed in a swimming event in the Olympics. And so she was on the front running of that, ended up getting several world records in swimming events, and things. Things kind of faded for her, but then she learned about people swimming in the English Channel. And I know there's some Europeans in the group. So any of you guys been to or around or over the English Channel? Okay, Vicky has. I can't see everybody, so maybe some others are raising their hands. I actually went to England, lived in England for a couple years, my early adult years. I didn't actually get to the English Channel or get to Dover. I was kind of more towards London. But if you haven't studied this, the English Channel is a horrific thing to try to swim. It's 21 miles, but you can't just swim a straight line because all the currents that are going through it. So you end up swimming probably 45 to 50 miles by the time you zigzag through and kind of navigate the currents. Then you get into the shallows where when you get closer to Dover, where your spot boat cannot go. At least back then, their boats couldn't follow into the sand pits, and so you had to swim the last 5 miles on your own. And by then, if they're coming from France, they've been swimming. She was swimming about 14 hours. It's getting dark, and a lot of swimmers get into that spot, and then they get disoriented, and they can't figure out which way to go, and they get lost. Some of them die because they get caught in the currents and they can't make that last 5 miles because they don't know which way to go. And so she was able to navigate that, went through jellyfish, all sorts of things to swim that and to be the first woman to swim the English Channel. And not only was she the first one back then, they said that women physically could not do it. They said their hearts weren't strong enough, they weren't physically strong enough. Just leave it to the men because women just cannot do it. And she did it the first time, and something kind of happened that forfeit her from the start. And they said, "See, women can't do it." So then she did it again, and she was successful right after that. First woman ever to do it, and that just opened things up for women in sports to show that not only did she do it, she actually beat the current record by what the men could do by 2 hours. She actually beat the men by 2 hours in how she did it. Isn't that pretty amazing? So I want you to think about that story, and I want to think about your own journey as you're striving towards your goals, to your big dreams. Do some of the things that you have on your heart feel like you're swimming the English Channel, where maybe you have some currents that are pushing you off path, get big winds, big waves, just seems like it's too much. People say you can't do it. And sometimes our dreams feel like it's just a little too much for us, doesn't it? And sometimes we hit blockages, sometimes we hit roadblocks, we hit doubts, we hit, obstacles that get in our way. And so, think about your own entrepreneurial journey. What has that been like for you? Probably some exciting things. Has it been some heartbreak times? I mean, I know all of you, we've been close to Gary as he's been creating Stage C, and I'm sure if we talked with Gary about it, he says there's been the best of times and worst of times, right? There's been some really great moments and some really, test your grit kind of moments as you create something big like we've done. And I think we have all done those when we go and play big. So what's on your heart right now? What is on your heart that you want to create, that you want to do? And are there things that seem to hold you back? Maybe you have trouble getting started, feel like it's too much. Maybe you get started and think, oh, I'm just too overwhelmed. I can't do it. Maybe I'll do it later. We get these doubts. We get these, different things in our hearts, insecurities and frustrations. I've started this journey 10 years ago, and early on, I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to quit my university job, and I'm going to make buco bucks, and we're just going to have this great life. And things haven't always worked out that way. This finally now, beginning of the year, 2024, that I finally got to a point where I'm okay. I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to do things on my own. But it took a long time to get there, and I'm still working it, right? It's still trying to make it work for us. But it's one of those things where we just have these things, oh, maybe later, maybe I can do it. And we get into our headspace. And so one of the things we're going to talk about is what I call this toxic internal dialogue that we get into inside our head. And that can sometimes be a devastating thing, just like the currents across the English Channel can get in our way, or the jellyfish minds or things. Our own head can really get into our way from getting to where we want to go. So we're going to talk a lot about that. So let's talk about what mindset is, okay? What is mindset? Think about what mindset is, probably different definitions, but one I'd like to use is it's basically our overall attitude, outlook, belief system, around something. It could be around yourself, it could be around life, it's around creating your business, your big life dreams, could be about relationships, but mindset is the attitude, the outlook, the big thing that we apply to whatever we're doing. And I don't want to act like it's not important because it is. If you don't have a good mindset, you're never going to be on the journey's path. You're never going to get there. But is it everything? Is it going to get you all the way to your goals? And my premise is no, it's not. Well, then you just ask, okay, Darryl, what is it? What is that next thing? Okay. And so that's what we're going to talk about for the kind of bulk of this. Mindset will get us to the beach for the swim. Okay. So for Trudy Ederle, it got her to the beach. It got her, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to step in the water. I'm going to take that swim. Mindset also can keep us swimming when things are tough. Can I keep going? If you have a good mindset, it'll drive you forward. It's your passion. It's the car like Gary talks about that drives you to where you want to go. But it doesn't teach you the strokes to swim the channel, nor does it give you the stamina to go the 40 or 50 miles you need to get to the other side. Mindset doesn't do that. Well, what does? Well, this is the missing link that sometimes we neglect, we overlook. What more is needed to create your big life dreams a reality? What is the missing link? And here it is. Ta-da! Your thinking habits. So our thinking habits are what is inside of our head, the patterns that we've created, that we've evolved through years and years of life that determine our success or our failure, but a lot of times we're not always aware of what's going on inside our heads. It's interesting. It's like the new frontier. We're in our head 24/7, 365 days a week, a year. But sometimes we're not always aware of what's really going on inside of our head. There's a lot of things, as we talk about when Gary's really good talking about the brain science, that there's a lot of things going on that aren't always in our front center. We're going to talk about that. So here's Augmendino as an Augmendino certified coach, habit finder coach with Augmendino leadership and stuff, become interested in studying the writings of Augmendino, success writer. And this is what he says. In truth, the only difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits. Good habits are the key to all success. Bad habits are the unlocked door to failure. Think about that. Our good habits get us the success. Bad habits are the unlocked door to failure. And so sometimes we have things inside of us, there's just these time bombs, these pitfalls in our thinking that create something that blocks our success. That's why sometimes, like, I keep trying, I keep trying, I keep trying, but it just seems like I can't get there. I can't quite get the motivation some days, or I have to work so hard to get that. And I remember talking to a lady a month or two ago, and she's a children's author. She's published several children's books, and it's kind of cool. She puts a little therapy spin on it, to try to help the kids with kind of learning mental health principles. So she was reaching out to me to help her with her next book and think about some things that the mental health principles part of it. But we had a really great breakthrough session, and I did this habit finder assessment we'll talk about a little bit later. And I was able to show her this is what your thinking habits are doing. And I could see on this profile, I said, Tracy, do people realize how hard it is for you to get in your creation zone and create these things? I could see there's so many things in her thinking that were blocking her and zapping her motivation and zapping her self-worth. And I said, do people realize how hard it is for you to get in that career spot and really create and move forward? She goes, no, not many. I mean, she admitted it. She goes, yeah, there's some close people, but she goes, most people don't know what's going on inside her head. So she had all this traffic in her head that was just making it so hard. And she would over, do it. I mean, she'd get over it somehow, but it just took so much effort for her to have to get past these mental roadblocks. And so we have all of these in here. So, the brain science behind it is 95% of our thoughts and behaviors are governed by our subconscious. Okay. That is the part of the brain that you kind of are sort of aware of, as opposed to unconscious, which means you aren't aware of it all. Subconscious, you have some awareness of it, but it's deep down in there. And it's hard sometimes to pinpoint exactly what's going on. And it's something that you don't always have direct control over. There's ways that we can reprogram the subconscious, but there's a process to it. It's not like you have direct access, like your conscious thinking. You say, all right, I'm just going to think differently. And there we are. And a lot of clients I work with, we can change their conscious thinkings very quickly. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, I'll think differently. But so many of the people I work with, they go, yeah, my brain tells me one thing, but my heart is saying something different. There's still some parts of me that are believing a different story, and that's the subconscious stuff. That's mixed in with the emotional stuff. And so it's a very different kind of landscape to navigate. Most of us don't really know for sure how to do that. It's just a tough place to make changes. So that means much of our decision making, emotional responses, habits, and even motivations occur without our active conscious awareness. Well, how's that motivating? Well, thanks. I mean, what are you talking about? A lot of the stuff our decisions, what we think are kind of out of our active conscious awareness. Now we can get in there, but like I said, it takes some effort and it takes some doing. But we have to understand a lot of things we're doing, we feel like it's outside stuff or situational stuff, but really stuff in us. And here's the thing, even though the subconscious is in charge of a lot of what we do, our conscious brain likes to be in charge. So there's this myth that your conscious brain creates, which is the story of why I did what I did. And a lot of times they're kind of deep decisions within us, but our conscious brain comes up with an alibi, comes up with a reason of, oh, this is why I did this. And we start coming up with reasons afterwards. Well, I did it because of this and this. But a lot of times these decisions are deep down. I had a sister-in-law for a lot of years who basically divorced her family because she was offended by some things going on. She disagreed with some decisions with their mother, and she didn't attend events for 2 or 3 years. And so it was a very reactive thing in her emotions. But she came up with these reasons. Well, the reason why I'm doing this is because this and this and this, and I need to do it because of this, and they did it. And she came up with all these reasons. But bottom line is she was reacting out of the hurt that she had. And so it was a very deep level kind of stuff. But our brain likes to come up with explanations to justify it. Okay, so why does our brain do that? Well, to be honest, is to save energy and to be more efficient. Imagine if you had to reprocess everything you come across in life as if it was new. Look at a little kid, like, oh, they're looking at everything and figuring things out. Well, good thing we have to do that because it takes a lot of brain energy to do that. So some of the research behind it says many of our daily thoughts, emotions, behaviors are automatic and unconscious, controlled largely by our subconscious. They suggested that much of our social, cognitive, and cognitive processing happens outside of conscious awareness and not use full cognitive resources on each task. Okay. So basically, our brain does it for a couple of reasons, which is, or a couple of ways we do is we create automatic thoughts and habits, and we shift cognitive tasks to our subconscious. And our brain does that automatically because, Gary talks about this a lot in the stuff that he has, that for one, like I said, it takes a lot of energy to have to reprocess things as if it was new. So we develop a lot of habits over the years of just boom, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, to the point where we don't even think about it anymore. But some of those habits, if they're bad habits, get us in trouble. They create decisions and responses that are always in our best interest if we're trying to be moved to a higher level, right? And shifting cognitive tasks to subconscious is, again, this is where I remind some of the stuff that Gary teaches, is the unconscious, subconscious brain has a lot more processing power. Our frontal lobe our frontal lobe cortex can only process so much stuff, and so that's why your brain favors a lot of automatic responses and often leaves the conscious thought, to handle specific new complex tasks. So we try to free up our brain by kicking a lot of things down to our subconscious level. Okay. So Richard's demonstrated that our habits are controlled by our neural circuits in our basal ganglia. So there's a place in the brain where that happens. Okay. So those are some things about our brain science that is interesting, that just, a lot of things are kicked to these processes that we don't always have full awareness of. So how do we get in touch with that, right? How do we shift that? Well, one thing one real important concept is neuroplasticity. So even though we're locked into habits and habits are hard to change, we have a lot of patterns. The cool thing is their brain is also very flexible and has neuroplasticity. So we have the ability, if we put the effort in there and get the right sort of techniques, to change our responses, even our habits that are deeply ingrained in our brain. And so, some things might stick a little bit. One good book that I've read, I've listened to audiobook that you might want to listen to, is called, I think it's called, let's see, is it called The Power of Habit? I think it is. And it's a really good book that they did talk a lot about the brain research about habit, where it is in the brain, people changing, different things. It's really kind of lots of cool stories in there. But by consciously working to identify and shift these automatic responses, we can, over time, create new neural pathways and make it possible to form healthier, goal-oriented habits. So here's the thing. If you have a big dream on your heart, you have something you want to create a better life for yourself. The problem is you can't get there thinking the way you're thinking right now. We just can't do it. If we're going to create something bigger than what you have in your life right now, we have to rise to something bigger than what we are doing right now. We have to grow and expand. Will Smith, actor Will Smith, he had a great quote. He said that choose a goal that's so big that you have to be something different in order to get there. So, choose a goal that's so big you have to be someone different in order to get there. And so that's what it's all about is if we want to create something big, we have to expand along with our goals. We can't stay where we are. We have to take on this area of neuroplasticity and find out what are my mental roadblocks and what I need to do to shift them to a higher level so that I can expand what I'm doing. Okay. Augmendino had, some great quotes about that. He said all men are slave to habits, men and women. Back in the 1960s, he just used the male language, but all men and women are slave to habits. So if I am to be a slave to habit, let me be a slave to good habits. Okay. He said, I will form good habits and become their slave. He said, it is another law of nature that only a habit can subdue another habit. Therefore, I'll make a good habit become a slave. So if you have habits that get in your way, negative habits, let's say, bad habits, they're these things that sabotage us. We need to find out what they are. Then we need to create new habits that will overdo these old habits that have not been serving us. So we learn to make good habits and we become their slave. We let them, guide us. But since I chose that good habit, that new habit is now my will, is what Augmendino teaches us. Okay. So, but there's some things that keep us from changing, right? There's some things that get in our way. Just a mental game. One is that I feel like our human psychology tends to be wired to the negative. What happens each day if you don't work on your mindset and work on, your attitude and your habits? Where does it tend to go? Well, for most of us, we have insecurities, we have doubts, we don't want to do it. Most time I think the river kind of just runs downstream towards the negative. And so unless you actively do something to keep yourself on top, keep yourself focused on what you want to do and what you're trying to create, it's very easy for those dreams to slide and even disappear. And that's why for some of us, it may be years that we've been trying to work on something. Oh, maybe I'll do it next year. It doesn't seem like it's going to work out this year. So we have to work out against that. Second is our protectors, right? We love our protectors. They're there to help us know where there's danger and where there's risks, but they resist change. We're creatures of habit. Our protectors keep us safe. And anytime you get out of your comfort zone, there's risk. You become vulnerable, to failure, to disappointment, to put yourself out there with people in a way that you're not sure it's going to be. And so there's a part of our brain that wants to keep us safe and wants us to just stay where you are. You're fine. You're fine where you are. And so you just have to understand when you want to change your brain, there's part of you that's going to resist that. Well, I don't know if now is the right time, or I don't know if I can do that. And so then we get these doubts. Most of our third thing is most of our deep habits are subconscious and hidden. So again, we don't always recognize what those are. We don't always know what those habits are about. And then the final thing is these habits create an internal dialogue. Oftentimes, our internal dialogue is pretty negative. A lot of times they're pretty hard on ourselves, right? Is your internal dialogue a little hard on yourself sometimes? Are you a little critical? You haven't done it so far. What makes you think you're going to do it this time? I had about all these voices even putting together this presentation. What happens is they become a familiar voice within us, within your head, and then it becomes a familiar companion to your soul. And then we just think, you know what? That's just the way I think. That's just how it is. Yeah, but I can't change. And we start convincing ourselves that it doesn't change. But think about this. If you talk to your friends like you talk to you, could we still be friends? My mentor, Dave Blanchard, who's the creator of the Habit Finder program, he says that, and I love that. He's like, if you talk to your friends like you talk to you, would we still be friends? I don't know. We may not be, right? So we're pretty hard on ourselves sometimes, and that can really short circuit our greatness and our ability to get to our goals. Okay. So, how aware are you about your self-defeating and sabotaging thinking patterns? What are the barriers to changing habits? What stopped you from really changing them big time? What are the excuses in your brain that come up that maybe have kept you where you are? Or that, well, the situation's not right, or the timing is not right, or, I don't know how people are going to think about this or that. Our brain comes to all these reasons why. Okay. But the good news of proper training and strategies, assistance, you can transform your thinking habits and you can reach new heights in your life and business. Okay. So I'm going to pause right here for a few minutes so we can ask some questions about this. I do want to save a few minutes we can talk about, if Gary's good with it, that we can just talk about kind of this program that I'm doing. But at this point, are there any questions that you have about any of this that you'd like to ask, or any comments that you have about what I've shared so far? Yeah, go ahead. Let's see,
Thank you,
Anna. Ann.
Thanks. Thank you, doctor. Well, sometimes you don't even know what is it that's stopping you from doing something. You would
Hmm.
just pose and like, what is it? What is it? So how do you deal with that?
That's a good point, Ann. So sometimes we don't realize it until we recognize the results of it, right? We see that we're blocking. And one of the big signs we see is procrastination. And I've seen there's kind of floating around the internet, they say procrastination was a defense mechanism. It's not a sloppy habit. It's more of a defense mechanism. And so a lot of times procrastination or not taking on certain things is a sign that there's something in us that's blocking us and something that's getting our way. And so sometimes we can kind of do some self-reflection and get there. And sometimes we can, um, we can kind of figure out what that is. Sometimes it's hard to do. And that's why here in a few moments, I can talk a little bit about the habit finder assessment. This assessment that I talked about when I presented before is, to me, this an amazing tool. It's just, I've not seen anything like it in 30 years in this industry. And it's the best instrument that I've seen at being able to tell us exactly what our thinking habits are doing. It gives it to us in full color, shows it through 36 different measurements. This is what your thinking habits do. And so I came across it almost 5 years ago. And before that, I hadn't seen anything that could even come close to helping us understand what our thinking habits are doing. But it's a really amazing thing. I've done it with so many people, and it's just like people are like, wow, that's what my brain thinks. How did you know? So there are some tools that can get us there, and I'll talk more about that. But sometimes you can kind of figure it out, but sometimes it's hard. You're right, because they're so with us so much of the time that we have trouble knowing that they're there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Judy,
Unmute.
there you go.
Okay. Yeah, that my thinking habits I've been working on those for a long, long time.
Hmm.
Long time, since
Hmm.
childhood, I would say,
Uh-huh.
into becoming more positive, into keeping a positive mindset. And it has definitely helped me through lots and lots of trials and tribulations. And especially right now in what's going on around our world, it would be
I know it's so much.
so easy to slide back, but I'm constantly trying to help other people, especially my little 102-year-old gentleman that I care for a couple times a week, who only watches the news on TV.
Mm.
And he
Not
is
always uplifting.
down and negative.
Mhm.
And I've been working with him, trying to keep him into a positive thinking mode, just so he can at least have a reasonably good day. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, but that is so, so important, though.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Judy. That's
Mm.
so good. I'm so happy that you have been so vigilant in that work for yourself and that you're able to be a light to others and sharing the good news, right? Not um, the negative news that we see on the media, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Vicky.
Funny you shouldn't mention that, Judy, because I was actually yesterday uh, looking at the television. And if you really listen to all the baloney coming out of almost everyone's mouth, you can't wonder why people are negative. They talk so violent and dirty and discriminating. And so I'm just thinking, I hope not a lot of children are watching this because that's going to stick on their minds.
Right. Yeah, I love that, Vicky. It's interesting because I think there are a lot of people out there who allow media and other sources to determine their reality. They look for other sources to help them decide what is going on. I think so many people aren't taught critical thinking and how to, really examine what you are seeing and hearing and deciding if it's good or credible. And I think a lot of people just take a lot of things at face value and don't go past that. And so when you do that, I think, yeah, puts us in a real negative world. And so that's why I love being in a group like this where we're we're intentional creators. We want to create a world that we decide, right? I love that, that movie, The Greatest Showman. Million dreams. I have a million dreams in my head. That's me totally, and probably a lot of you. And so we creating a world that we want to live in. And I just think that's such a powerful force. Instead of accept what people are giving us, we create something we want. And there's such a powerful energy in creation. I just love it. So we need to certainly get that thinking out there to more people. All right. Well, let me share with you some more, just a few minutes here about kind of what I'm doing and see if it's something that fits in with with what may be helpful for you. Is for me, again, helping people get to where they want to go to get them out of their stuckness, get through their blockages is just a passion for me. It's something that is just exciting, something I really love doing. And so one thing I woke up, I was about a week and a half ago, and within a couple weeks, and I just got so inspired, and I just like I need to create something before the end of the year. I need to do something where I help people get to a better place before the year closes. And I got excited about it, and then I thought about you guys and how wonderful you are. And I wanted to share that message with you guys. And so texted Iris and Gary. Actually, I think Iris had texted me about something, ironically. And I said, Iris, what amazing timing. I was just thinking about you guys. And so then we met and we're talking. And so that's how we got on the docket here to share some of these information with you and to tell you what kind of I'm doing is doing this. Coaching really is the best vehicle for change. We know that. We're coaches. We love coaching people, whether it's health, whether it's your human potential, whether it's your business, whether it's relationships. Coaching is such an amazing tool, and I love coaching. And so, learn about good principles and habits aren't enough, right? We need to learn how to put them into play. And so, all high performers have coaches or they get coaching in some way. The Olympic, people, the athletes, the big people who are really changing things, they get coaching because they know as much as they have going on, as much ambition as they have, we all have parts of us that we need to shift. And sometimes we need someone else to help us get there. Okay. So, what did I get into here? I don't know. Sorry. I had a slide in there that I forgot to take out. So this is what I'm doing. I'm doing a 6-week group coaching program, the Success Boot Camp, and Unlock Your Greatness. And what it really does is helping people help you identify and break through your negative thinking habits and really help you understand what is sabotaging your success or blocking your success. Not that you don't already have success, but sometimes we want a higher level of success and feel like we're just not getting there for some reason. And like we say, we like this, say it's other people or other situations, but a lot of times what's kind of happening inside of us that's creating those blocks. And so this program is designed to give you the tools, insights, and steps that you need to shift your negative thinking habits, and that'll be a game changer in creating your business, whatever it is that you want to create, whatever it is we want to do. Vicky talked about the book I've written, and I'm actually writing a second book. So my book is kind of a Christian-based book that is about how people can be their better selves in their relationships. And if you're, Christian-based, then how do you be more Christian-like in your relationships? But it talks about the psychology of it, of how when we get and triggered emotionally, we get hurt, we get offended, we get in these relationship spots, we are not thinking, being a good Christian or being our best self. And so I just kind of walk people through that process and help them understand that so they can, get that dialed in and become more the person they want to be in their relationships. Well, just, to write that book, I've been wanting to write it for 10 years. And finally, I wrote it last year. I got it out there, but I had to do some mental hacks, and that's a story for another time. Some very interesting mental hacks I had to do to actually write that book in about 8 or 9 months. And I've been trying to write it for 10 years and hardly had more than, you know, uh, maybe a chapter or two written. And I ended up writing, 10 chapter book. It started out 72 pages, and then it'd be 94 pages of a Word document, which is like double that when you put in book format. Anyways, sometimes, I had to go through it too, where I had to figure out how to get past this roadblock to actually get this book written. It's really hard sometimes, to get past those. So again, the program is designed, I can jump in there, give you personal guidance to help you apply success habits and principles to your goals. There's 6 areas of success that are part of this coaching program. They'll teach you the habits and principles you need to be successful across these 6 areas of success. Give you the support and accountability, help you stay on track and accomplishing your big goals. I don't see Brent on here today. Brent was involved with a kind of a coaching accountability group I did a couple years ago, and happy to have him part of that. This is going to be like a 10x or 100x version of that, like just blow off the charts. It's going to be really amazing.
I'm on here today.
Oh, you are on here. Okay, I didn't see you there. Sorry, my friend. So you can say or not say. I mean, you were kind of with me in some of those meetings, and we had some good talks about kind of reaching goals, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So I'm glad you're here. So this is going to be like a 10x, 100x version of that, where we've got the resources and things in there. So what it involves is 6 coaching sessions across 6 weeks. In those coaching sessions, we go through those 6 areas of success, and we will share principles and tips and new habits that need you to build success across those 6 areas. You get a copy of the habit finder coaching manual, which I have right here. It's a pretty amazing thing. Is this program is something that when I came across it, I'd been in the mental health field for 25 years, and I'd been a professor, university professor for at least 15 years at that point. And it has principles and concepts in there that I didn't even know that changed my life. I'm like, whoa, how come I never heard about this stuff? It is an amazing program. So we're going to help you go through that. And this is the thing that Anna was asking about. Part of this program, you'll get an assessment of your thinking habits. I'll give you the link, and you get that habit that tells you where your thinking habits are. And I'll have that information for everybody who's in the program so that when we do our coaching meetings, I'm not just guessing on where people's roadblocks are. I can look at everyone's assessments. Oh, there a lot of people in the group are struggling in this area. And so we're actually going to be able to use data to be able to guide our coaching sessions so that we make it relevant to what the people need to get to the next level. If you don't enter the program, you can still do that habit finder assessment. You can just message me or email me, and there's a way to get it done outside of that. There's usually a little bit of charge for that. But if you want to just get the assessment, that is possible. But if you're part of the program, you get that automatically. Then we talk about what that tells you. Then there's a membership in an exclusive Facebook group that we have that, will allow us to kind of talk to each other and share ideas and things like that. So we're going to launch this November 18th. Gary and I have already talked, and so Gary says he wants to be in on that. Glad to have him part of that. Certainly love to get a lot of you in there and be on this journey. We'll just have an amazing experience. Kind of really getting you, like I said, momentum into the end of the year, walk into the year with confidence, momentum moving forward. So instead of creating something January 1, you're already moving through things, and you just need to pick your next goals or kind of pick up the momentum even faster if you want to. Okay, so that much is there. If you want to know what the cost is, normally these programs like this will cost $3,000 US dollars. The price I'm going with is about half that. So it's about $14.97 one payment, or if you want to break it into 3 payments, it's $525. But Gary and I were talking, we want to make it more accessible to the CHC group. So I'm doing a special discount for those who are here. And so we're knocking off $500 off the price for the one payment option, or 3 payment options is $357. If that's still something that's hard for you, we could probably create a 5 payment option. Talk to me if you want to do that. We really want to make it accessible that everyone can be involved in this if you want to be. So we get a big discount in here for that. And this discount will be good through next week, through next Thursday. We want people to jump in anytime to kind of order materials for people. So if you want to be involved in it, certainly jump in before then, let me know. And if you do want to, here's some links that I just created. I didn't have the QR codes yet. And here's the discount codes. Right now, I have it set up for the payment to be with these pay points. I couldn't figure out how to get the coupons to work yet. I will get that. And so if you see pay points that are higher than those other prices, then here are the discount codes. I just used Gary. Gary's running for president, Gary 2024. Do you know that, Gary? You're running for president. So everyone vote for Gary. So the 3 PMT is for the 3 payment option. The 1 PMT is for 1 payment option. So if you're doing the first one, you type in that first code. If you're doing the second one, but right now the price points that go up there right now, they're set up with the discounts. I haven't launched this with any other people yet, so I just have the CHC discounts on there right now. But if it changes, then these are the good discount codes that you can do. Okay, and so there's how you can email me and get in touch with me if you want more information on any of this stuff. And that covers it for me for today. So does anybody have any questions about anything?
Can't see your email on the bottom. It's cut off.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry about that. On my screen, I can see it. It's let me come out of the. Does that help at all?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so Dr. Darryl PhD coaching at gmail.com. Yeah, Dr. Darryl PhD coaching at gmail.com. You can email me there. Love you're connected with me on Facebook, so you can message me. If you're not connected to me on Facebook, send me a friend request. I'd love to connect with you there regardless. One thing that happened a few months ago is my other Facebook account got hacked into. And so I tried to get control over it a couple times, and the hacker kept on getting control. So Facebook did the nice thing, and they just deleted my profile. So I had to start over. I had over 2,000 people on my network, and I started off with 0. So I'm rebuilding my network, and some people won't let me do friend requests too, even though I know them. Says, I don't think you know this person. Well, I do. It's like my cousin. So anyways, if I'm not on your list, feel free to connect with me either way on Facebook. Love to have you. So there it is. That's the the big to-do. I'm really excited about this. This is gonna be so awesome, so much fun, and I'd love to be able to hang out with you guys for next 6 weeks.
Yeah, did you want to mention David Blanchard's stuff that you went through?
Oh, about the health assessment, the habit finder assessment is something that we have, and that's something as a habit finder coach, I have, rights to give to people. Are you talking about the health assessment one or? Yeah, he does have. David is an amazing man. If you ever met him, he lives in Utah, like Gary and I do, and just a great man. But he's created a health version of the Habit Finder assessment. Currently, he's has that involved with another health organization. But Gary and I talked about it, and there might be some conversations we can try to have at a certain point, see if Dave is willing to let that be. Um, open to more people. But yeah, he does have a health version where it talks about kind of your thinking habits related to health habits, changing your health, habits. So right now, I'm not at liberty to be able to share that with people outside of my personal coaching circle, but that could be something that we might be able to negotiate sometime in the future. So, we'll see where that evolves.
Sorry, Darryl, what was his name? David
Dave
something?
Blanchard, David Blanchard. Dave Blanchard. He's actually written 3 books. He's the CEO of the Augmentino Leadership Institute, and he's actually written 3 books. One's called the Today I Begin a New Life, which is the start off of one of the scrolls of Augmentino. He's also has one called Equanimity, um, and climbing Mount Entrepreneur, and they has a third one called The Observer's Chair. So all of them are really good books for success. He's an amazing man. One of those people that loves on people as well. He's just one of those people you're in his presence and you just feel like you're the number one person in the world. So he's a great man. But yeah, he's someone to tune into.
I,
Yeah.
I understand it is maybe you can see if this is true or not. That Dave Blanchard actually got the rights for Augmendino's The Greatest
Yes.
Salesman,
Yes, he
right?
did. That
He
is
did.
absolutely true. So he was involved with the Augmendino or the Augmendino his family for several years doing some media stuff with them. And he has an amazing story because he was in real estate and then back in the 80s real estate um, industry crashed and he everything went away and he found himself $1 million in debt. Imagine that if you had $1 million in debt you had to pay back. And over the next 10 years, he worked his tail off with his wife and they paid off that debt. But he did a number of things. They got involved with the Mandino family. And so then when Og died, Betty came to him and said, they're not renewing the rights of his stuff. We need someone to do it. Would you take on the rights of Og's stuff? And he's like, yeah. And so that's how that happened. Betty came to him and he signed up for that. So they own, yeah, the license for all that stuff. And have continued to use it, and they were wove it into the coaching program that they've built, and so the scrolls are in part of that. So that'd be stuff you get all access to, all that stuff if you get involved with the coaching program, either individually or as a group coaching program.
Yeah, I wanted to ask also, you've taken the Finder assessment quite a,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's one or twice or 3 times. I don't know how many.
I've taken it myself personally, I think 4 times, 3 or 4 times, because even if you have taken it in the past, every year or two, it's good to take it again because your thinking shifts. Things change, and so it kind of gives you X-ray of your thinking habits, kind of at the moment, kind of thing. And they've actually redone some of the statements. If you haven't done it a lot within the last 6 months, it's actually they've shifted some of the statements to try and make them more accurate, more easier to understand, and things like that. But yeah, it's cool because that's spot on what Ann was asking. It'll show you really what your brain's doing and thinking and expose you kind of, okay, this is what's happening. And then we'll be able to talk about it and to help you understand what it means and how that plays out, for you. Um, but it also shows you your strengths. It shows you where your areas of genius are. We all have genius. And so it shows, hey, this is where things are going. We've got amazing gifts. So it's a really great assessment.
Yeah, I'm looking forwad to that, sort of trepidatiously, because it's kind of
Yeah, I know.
looking
What's
for
behind door
someone
number
to
3?
That's right.
Well, it is. It's deep work. That's why I said it takes a lot of courage to get involved with it because a lot of times we want to make changes, but we don't. We want to just stick our toe in the pool, but not commit to diving in, right? And it takes a lot of courage to, all right, I'm just going to dive in there and I'm going to swim the channel. It's tough.
Thank you very much, Darryl. That was really, really interesting stuff.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me and letting me be with you guys. Hope I can serve you.
When didn't you?
You're so kind. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I share something with you guys?
Mhm.
I do a balance course for people who has, physically lost their balance. And today I had a new student, and I don't know how I looked when she came in the door, but I must have looked a little bit surprised. She is 94. And I
Mm.
was like, welcome. It was like, oh my, how do I do this? And I think she must have taken one of your courses because she was actually fantastic. Oh, I've never done that. I'm sure I can do it. Show me how. And she's 94. So it's never too late. I think that's what I was trying
That's
to
amazing.
say.
I love that. And I think as you get across your years, um, both health-wise and emotional health, I think you start seeing the different pathways of our habits, where habits have gone. We all know this from the health side, that your health habits will kind of, your physical age and how you look certainly will impact that. But then your mental health, I think we start seeing as we come move across the decades, someone who has a positive mental health versus someone who has a negative mental health. Um, it's amazing. Even with my parents, my dad has a much more positive mindset. And I can see that when I see him. He's aging, both in their 80s. My mom, she is a worrywart to the nth extreme. She worries about worst case scenario and all their kids and grandkids and doesn't sleep well at night. But then she's stuck in her patterns and feels like she can't change anything. It's really hard for someone with my level of training to like talk to her. I'm like, Mom, you really need to shift something. Oh, I'm fine. But you can see that, the differences. I mean, she looks older, she looks more wrinkled, she looks, it just, you can see it. For me, it's hard to be around her sometimes because I can see how that negative mental health has really just weighed her down.
Do you want a good idea?
Sure.
Give her a worry pot.
Worry pots?
Yeah. Buy a little clay
Oh,
pot or something with the lid on it. So every time she has a worry, she has to write it down and put it in the
put
pot.
it in there, be
Then
done with
every
it.
night at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, she can take three
Hmm.
and see if any of them happened or if they didn't. And if it's too late, throw them out. If there's still time, put them back.
Hmm. A great idea. Love that.
Because that will also show her how much she worries.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things like those habits we get going and we don't even think about them and they just become infectious.
But I think maybe it's a bit age related as well.
Hmm. You guys are awesome.
Takes one to see one.
We had awesome training, Darryl.
Thank you.
I think if you have some questions for Darryl, it's time, folks. Or
Yeah, you can ask me how you can reach out and talk to me. The pricing's good for a week, but sometimes we get sidetracked and we get kind of distracted. So there's a little bit of danger of kind of keeping it open that long because sometimes we just kind of forget about things. But I really hope that, for some of you, this will be really, yeah, you want to get involved and be in this course with us, and um, it'll be really, really, really worth it.
Any more questions for Darryl about anything, the material that he's covered?
And if you have friends, if people know people, if you have friends who are interested in this, um, have them reach out to me. And, if they're a friend of yours, we could probably work out something with the discount to bring them in with your discount if you know, if you're bringing them in. So think about people who you know that might want to be a part of this too. And we'll talk to them.
I will actually assume, Darryl, that you've blown them off the chairs. I've never seen them so quiet.
I appreciate that. We
For
always
me,
worry about things when you put things together, like, is this going to land with people or not? You never know. And so that's my own mental traffic. I had to kind of say, okay, Darryl, you just put it there and we'll
for
think
my part, I'm going to say thank you very much for today. And I'm going to, as always, let Gary finish off. Thank you so
Right.
much,
Thank
Darryl.
you. You're welcome.
Okay. Well, so very important that we know ourselves. The CHC program gives us the roadmap that we need to follow in order to be able to have success as far as health is concerned. How important is that? How important it is for you and our loved ones and everyone around us to know these principles of truth that help us. And the mind is, I say, by far the trickiest part because it involves emotions, it involves us. And I can tell you that, I don't know of anyone who has not suffered with these self-defeating, self-sabotaging behaviors that say, including myself, say every time I get up, I'm knocked down. And you know why? And sometimes you even knock yourself down. and it causes a little bit of tears on your pillow at night where you say, I'm better than this, and I can achieve, and I can do this. And I have so much desire to do it, but why can't I just get over that little hump? And the cellular health coaching program, in order to make yourself physically strong, is well understood. Mentally strong and having mental and emotional well-being. Well, that is something that you yourself, along with your physical habits, how you treat your body, are going to cause the success or maybe have you give up. Don't give up. I'm telling myself all of these times. I'm sure that when she was at the very last 5 miles of the English Channel, she was saying, this is it, but there's no way, no going back at that point because her spot boat was. And in life, I suppose it's that way. Just don't give up. Keep one step after the other. Use the habits that you've got. Use the resources that you've got inside you, and let's keep going. The gold is being refined inside of us. People, our personalities are being refined. Our bodies are being refined for sure. And let's not give up and do those things for the CHC program. And up to my dying breath, I will say that these things are true, and that everyone, if they were to follow these principles, would indeed be able to live their richest, fullest life. Thank you, you all. Thank you all. Darryl, love you, guy. Thank you very much, for getting out there and making this happen. And that we wish you the absolute best, and we want to be part of that. I want to be part of that for sure. I need it right now, and so you've become my coach. Thank you. Very, very good, and thank you all actually for being here today and spending your time with us. I love you all too. It's been a wonderful trip with you, and hopefully we will go on. We're going to take the next stroke and do what needs to happen. Right. Thank you much. We'll see you later there, guys.
All right. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.